You're listening to a Frequency Podcast Network production.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Oh, hi. Welcome to the program. I'm Dalby, solo today. Brock went and got himself sick over the weekend, which some will say is a little suspect, considering that's exactly what someone who wanted a 3-day weekend would say. But there is absolutely something ripping through the community right now. I see a lot of people online, social media, saying that they're sick. And I say that as the only person in a house of 5 that didn't spend the weekend coughing their brains out, which is rare since admittedly I'm usually Captain Sick Days around here. But don't get me wrong, I fully stand by taking your sick days. At some point in our country, we convinced ourselves that it was better to go to work sick and risk getting our coworker sick and passing up paid sick leave so that our bosses and managers didn't have to pick up the slack. It became like the manly thing. Like, oh, you're sick? Oh, why don't you just stay home then? It's like, well, the company is offering me paid sick time. If your company offers you paid sick time, you should absolutely be making the most of it. Every sick day left at the end of the year in your bank is money you left on the table, friends. They were willing to let you not work and still give you money, and you decided not to do that. That's a decision that you made. Now, that said, a real sick day isn't exactly a vacation day. Nothing says fun like fevers and chills and hacking coughs or spending some quality time hugging your household porcelain. At least when you were a kid, you'd stay home from school because you were sick. You got to watch all the good TV. Mom or dad would bring you soup and medicine. When you're an adult, the TV's still there, but it doesn't hit the same. And so are the dishes, the laundry, even the children. If you're a parent, they're still there. Time doesn't stop when you get sick as an adult like it did when you were a kid. So again, I say take the sick day. Brock, talking to you, take the sick day. Keep your ass and your germs at home. It's not like you're out there partying and going out on the town. Most of you, some of you do that when you take sick days. If you do that, just be smart enough to not put it on social media. Too many people will take a sick day from work and then all of a sudden on their Instagram story, here's a picture. We're out at the beach. We're out at the park. We're having fun. We're having drinks. So anyway, it's Brock.Lewis on Instagram. If y'all could keep an eye out on him for me. And if any of you do see him out around town, you be sure to let a brother know.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
We have long talked about an Olympics where the athletes are allowed to take whatever they want to get ahead. But this weekend, somebody actually did it. I don't know if you heard about this. The Enhanced Games took place in Las Vegas this weekend on Sunday. It was actually kind of a letdown, though. Like, I was waiting for it. I heard about this, and I was like, finally, they're doing it. They're going to let all the juice heads get together. They're going to shatter every record in the book. But unfortunately, it wasn't quite that. First, it was just track, weightlifting, and swimming, and it was all in one day. So it's not exactly the spectacle that we come to expect with the Olympics, with all the different sports and taking place over the span of a couple of weeks. It was just like a 3-hour show on a Sunday. Then, on the first competition of the day, they started with women's weightlifting. The very first lift, the feed crashed. They were streaming on YouTube and Twitch and all these other different places. The first lift, the feed crashed. The whole thing went down, and they had to keep competing without broadcasting until somebody, I don't know, plugged it back in and got it running again. So an auspicious start, to say the least. And then when they got it fixed, they went to the swimming events, and a guy who wasn't even on any performance enhancers won the 50-meter backstroke, beating all the roid swimmers. This whole thing was about unlocking human potential and showing what could happen if we just let all these athletes do whatever they wanted to get an advantage, and a clean swimmer won the event. And then finally, in an event hyped to crush every world record, only one person, a Greek swimmer named Christian Kolomev, actually beat a world record in the 100-meter freestyle. 50-meter freestyle. And it won't even count as a world record because of the steroids. It's such a shit. I had such high hopes that this would just be some bonkers pro sports event. And it ended up being kind of pretty vanilla, to be honest. It was less the pomp and circumstance of pro wrestling and gladiator fights that we were looking for, and more lawn bowling at the senior center with no organization. Though looking back, the signs were there that this couldn't live up to the hype. The athletes were only allowed to use legal drugs approved by the FDA, which is like saying we're doing a purge night, but you're only allowed misdemeanors. Also, the CEO of the whole thing is named Maximilian Martin. And if there's ever been a name that you could trust to let you down, it's someone named Maximilian. I honestly didn't even think that was a real name for people. I assumed Maximilians only existed as ultra-rich movie villains or old-timey circus promoters, which, saying it out loud, I guess is apt for the guy running the steroid Olympics. But still, you can always trust a Maximilian is going to let you down.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The guy running the enhanced games, basically the steroid Olympics, his name is Maximilian. And if you ever needed a reason why you couldn't trust somebody, Maximilian is a name. Is an untrustworthy name. So I asked a question today. What is a name that you just cannot trust? Got Ricky on the line. Ricky, what's a name you don't trust?
Laird. It sounds like a supervillain kind of name. I don't know. Can't trust a Laird.
I can safely say that in my 42, now almost 43 years on this planet, I've never met a Laird.
You never met a Laird? I don't know. I don't know where I heard it from, but it's just a greasy name.
I mean, it's got lair right in the name, right? Which is, of course, where any good villain would hang out.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with that. You can't trust a Laird.
That's the thing. All these parents these days keep trying to come up with unique and different names to make their kids stand out. But as soon as I hear a name that I've never heard before, my back gets up against the wall. If I met a Laird, if I went into the bank for a loan and Laird was on the other side of the table, I'd be suspicious.
Makes my hair stand tall, that's for sure.
I can't say I get the same vibe about a Laird, but you know what? If that's what it does to you, who's to say that you're wrong? All right. We've also got a friend of the show, OG friend of the show, Ed from the county, left us a voicemail. What's the name you don't trust, Ed?
Hey, buddy. How about the name Dick? As soon as he introduces himself, you know he's already a dick.
There you go. Well, that does seem like a pretty bad. So don't name your kid something weird because people will suspect them. And also don't name your kids after certain things and people won't be upset about them. Let's do one more call. I got Brandon on the line. Brandon, what's the name you don't trust, brother?
Emily. Emily all the way.
Why Emily?
I cannot say for reasons, but never trust an Emily.
This feels like a very specific and personal Emily hate.
They're evil.
What about Emily of New Moon? That was like we all grew up on that.
Now, Emily's and Emma's. I'm adding one to the mix now.
Damn, Emma too?
Everybody knows an Emma and an Emily that says something to them that is villain worthy.
Respect your privacy on the matter, but I've never met an Emma that did me wrong.
Well, you're a lucky man.
To the Emma or the Emily that broke Brandon's heart, you know what you did.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
You may have heard of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch or Garbage Island, a collection of ocean litter so big it's become something people have to document for ocean travel purposes. It's a giant shoreline made entirely of plastic that lives in the middle of the ocean. Due to currents in the Pacific, plastic trash dumped in the water by humans tends to congregate in these spots, and scientists believe it now contains upwards of tens of thousands of tons of plastic, which is super gross. We are absolute monsters for what we do to this planet. But now scientists are saying it might actually be too late to clean up the garbage patch, not because it's gotten too big, that's just a matter of money and time, but because it may have become a habitat for actual animal life. A crew of scientists went to the garbage patch and plucked out a selection of items between different ropes and different plastic pieces and all these other things. They identified 46 different kinds of invertebrate species, 80% of which are normally only found near coastal shores. They do not live in the deep ocean, meaning they floated from land out to the middle of the ocean on our garbage. And not only are these species living on the garbage, there are signs that they're reproducing. There are signs that some of these animals were born on the garbage patch, on the garbage island, thriving. They've made the Great Garbage Pacific Patch a Great Pacific Garbage Home, which now begs the question, is it wrong to go clean up the garbage now that creatures are living there? Obviously, tons of trash in the ocean feels like it's the wrong thing to do, but we've let our litter go for so long, it picked up squatters. It's gross, but also, in a way, it's kind of beautiful. You know, as Jeff Goldblum's character said in Jurassic Park, life finds a way. Now, that said, this is not an invitation for you to dump trash into the water, you dirtbags. Just because there are animals living in the garbage we've already dropped doesn't mean we need to add to the problem. Use the garbage like an adult.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
It is coming up on festival season. People will start traveling to go to big music festivals across the country, across the continent. Some will even go overseas. There's some pretty crazy music festivals that take place in the UK. One of the biggest, called the Download Festival, that's coming up next month. And they just had to put out a press release reminding people that they should not, in fact, bring wheelie bins full of alcohol on the train to try and get to Donington Park in Leicestershire for the Download Festival. Apparently, this was a problem last year where people were trying to bring wheelie bins, basically garbage bins on wheels filled with beer cans and bottles. You know, when you go to a festival, you want to pack a little bit. Nobody wants to be just paying full festival price for all the drinks that they're going to have over the course of the weekend. That said, you are not allowed, I would say probably almost any music festival, to roll in with a garbage bin full of liquor, especially if you're going on the train to try and get to the park where the festival is at. Like, imagine you're just a regular citizen taking the train to work or to home or to wherever it is the day takes you, and you're next to some dude dressed in full festival garb with a full wheelie garbage bin full of liquor. Like, I admire the conviction. I admire, honestly, the economic foresight to try and save some money. But you had to know that someone was going to say something when you tried to roll up to the gates with a garbage bin full of liquor. Now that I've said it, I mean, it was a mistake in my words, but there's nothing in the press release that says you can't bring a garbage bag full of liquor. So, I mean, you know, you've still got some time before whatever festival you're heading to this summer. Maybe start doing some curls for the girls and pick up that big old heavy Glad bag full of beer cans and have yourself a proper weekend.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
A graduation ceremony got out of control with one person arrested and another sent to hospital for stitches after a brawl broke out over parent seating. Police say some of the parents started hoarding seats, grabbing chairs, stacking them all together, and when they were confronted by other parents who were looking for a place to sit, all hell broke loose, which is wild considering it was a graduation for kindergarten students. Yeah, that's right. 5-year-olds were graduating to be able to go on to grade school, and the parents started a brawl. Imagine being a kid. You're pumped. You're about to go to grade 1. You look out and mom is absolutely dog walking another parent because she didn't have somewhere to sit. So the cops had to get involved and the whole thing got shut down. No word on when the graduation will be rescheduled. Also, no word on whether the school or the parents will be providing the therapy the children desperately need after a kindergarten graduation brawl.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
I want to talk about the New York Knicks today because today is a big day for magic, voodoo, and professional wrestling. And if that sentence doesn't make sense, it's because you haven't heard about the best story in sports right now, Danhausen. See, Danhausen is what you would call a comedy wrestler. He's hired by the WWE about 4 months ago or so. Danhausen's whole gimmick is that he kind of looks like an old-timey vampire demon. He likes human money, and he curses his enemies. He uses it in his wrestling matches. At the beginning of the NBA playoffs, he cursed human hot take sprinkler Stephen A. Smith of ESPN and his favorite basketball team, the New York Knicks, because Stephen Smith was being mean to him during an interview on ESPN. Now, the Knicks would immediately lose 2 playoff games after being cursed by Danhausen, at which point a fan offered Danhausen $200 actual human dollars to reverse the curse on the website Cameo, where celebrities can make videos for people. So since the silly internet cameo video where Danhausen uncursed the Knicks, they have won 10 playoff games in a row. They're undefeated, including a record-setting comeback from being down more than 20 points in a game at the start of their current series against Cleveland. Tonight, they can sweep the Cleveland Cavaliers to make it to the NBA Finals. Now, is the whole thing silly? Obviously, it's silly. Of course it's silly that a 180-pound man dressed like a horror movie monster whose whole job is to be silly obviously has no impact on the outcome of a professional sporting contest. Or does he? I mean, that's what makes sports fun, is the nonsense. We grow playoff beards and flip our hats inside out to start a rally, and we have lucky chairs and lucky underwear and game day mugs and all kinds of silly traditions that make sports the best. So what's to say that this little man with his bizarre curse isn't bringing that same kind of luck to a New York basketball team that hasn't won a title since 1973? Sure, it's silly, but at this point, all I'm saying is, if I'm a Leafs fan, I'm thinking pretty hard about starting up a collection to get Danhausen the wrestler to start caring about hockey, or at the very least to curse the Habs.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
It is interesting to go out on the weekends now, because if you leave your home, you're almost forced to watch the bizarre roller coaster that is gas prices in this city, in this country, to be honest. Watching them go down on Saturday only to have your spirit broken by watching them go back up a little bit on Sunday. And the prognostications seem to be that we will see it go up again at some point during the week, but maybe there will also be dips. People are saying maybe the Iran war is coming to an end. Maybe we found more oil somewhere. It's just none of it makes a lot of sense. You know, we're watching wars get fought and straits get blocked and the pumps keep going up. And then every now and again, it's like they let off the throttle for a minute and they just go, hey, you guys want a break? And all that it's doing is making me realize we can't go anywhere this summer. I mean, if you really think about it, the cost of oil has gone up so incredibly that even if the war was to come to an end, it will take some time before it comes down anywhere near what it was before this whole mess started. They've got to refill all their reserves and they've got to get everything back out through the straits, and the whole thing's a mess. So flight costs are higher than they've ever been. The idea of even just driving to the grocery store now with gas prices the way they are, you have to stop and think, do we need milk? Could the children not just put water in their cereal and go about their lives? Do we have enough of a reason to start our gas-guzzling cars? And now you think about like, oh, the great summer road trip. Families love to drive to the cabin or the cottage or the lake, or we can't go down to the States. That's not allowed anymore. But can we drive anywhere around here? I mean, maybe if you've got a lottery or an inheritance coming your way, you could try and put together some sort of a trip. It just feels like this is the worst possible timing. Like, is it too much to ask that the next time the billionaire elites and politicians want to go to war over something silly, could you do it in the winter when we're not going anywhere anyway? When we're all just oh, right, then it would cost in heating costs would skyrocket. Just stop fighting wars so I can go on a road trip with my family.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
All right, time for another round of video game impressions. We are looking for your impressions today of the beginning of every Sega game. If you remember this sound.
I cannot.
Well, that's the wrong sound, but this is the sound we're looking for today. Okay, hang on. Sega! That's the one. That's the sound that we are looking for today. Sega! You gotta have a little sing-song in your voice. Sega! You gotta come up a little bit, right? It's not Sega, it's Sega. And so we go to the text line, 762-555, for your voice memos. And remember, if you are not one of our Sega players, one of our genocide, so to speak, then you are in the jury. So you are voting at 762-555. We will start with Justin.
Sega!
Pretty good. It's a fairly basic entry into the contest, but there's nothing wrong with it. Thank you, Justin. Go to Robin.
Hey, it's Robin. Sega!
One more time.
Robin. Sega!
It's like if the Sega guy had been on a pack of darts a day right up until the day they recorded it. Not necessarily what I was looking for, but I do think it's very funny. Thank you, Robin.
This is Landon. Sega.
There you go. Landon coming up. That's definitely a little bit more of the falsetto we were looking for. Let's go to Heather.
Hey, this is Heather. Sega.
Not bad. Not too bad. I think Landon might still be my leader. Robin also a contender. Here's Mark.
Sega!
another sort of heavy spin on the Sega jingle. Matt.
Sega!
Oh, did you go into the bathroom to record that? That sounds like it's got some acoustics to it. Very nice job to Matt. Let's do one more.
Hello, this is Haley. Sega.
Very nice work, Haley. Thank you to everybody who texted in. We got so many, but we can only play so many for the contest themselves. I think for me, I'm between Matt and I'm between Landon. Here's Landon again.
This is Landon. Sega.
It's not bad. It's pretty good. You know what? Let's give Robin another play because Robin's was also just very funny.
Hey, it's Robin. Sega!
But the one that has captured my heart, and from the looks of the text line, I'm just seeing Matt sent this in.
Sega!
So good. I swear to God, it sounds like it's recorded in an echo chamber. Matt, congratulations. You're a winner. You get the ding and you get the round of applause. And you're going to get $100 in Lotto Max tickets.
Want to be a part of the podcast?
Leave a message on the Bad Line.
The Bad Line is the answering machine for the Brock and Dalby Show.
To get the number, text the word BAD to 762-555.
Thanks for listening to the Brock and Dalby podcast.